To my dear friend who lives beside my world across a thin line of air, I am typing this note with a steady heart. I want to speak to you as if we are at the same desk with the same warm lamp. I will keep this simple and close to the ground. In my world we do not use names. We move with each other by ties and habits. A person is not a label here. A person is a stream of doing with others. You might call this strange. I call it daily breath. While I wake, I do waking with the room, the window and the light. The kettle does boiling with me, and I do waiting with the water. Breakfast is not a thing. It is caring for hunger until hunger softens. Work is not a job title. It is helping a circle move forward without breaking. I remember your world speaks of identity as a fixed point. We speak of identity as a path that never stops. People ask me how I think of myself. I answer that I do becoming with those who meet me. Some days I do teaching with children. Some days I do listening with elders. Some days I do mending with streets. You might wonder how order holds without labels. It holds because we keep faith with patterns. A pattern is a promise of action over time. It is how we trust. If a person keeps cooking with the neighbourhood, we know they care by the taste that returns. If a person keeps singing with the evening, we know their gift by the quiet that follows. I send you this letter because a question has been turning in me. I want to share the question and show you our way of answering. There was a harm here and it shook us. A tie was cut without consent, and many of us felt the air lose a tone. In your world, you might call it a crime of the worst kind. In us, we name nothing at all and still feel the cut. I will tell you how we faced it, and what we learned as we stitched. The person who did the cutting did not stand alone. None of us stand alone. We mapped the relations that fed the act. We traced weak care, sharp speech, long hunger, and missed chances. Our court is a room for relation repair, not a room for heavy words. In that room we mark who shaped the flow and how much each hand moved the blade. Responsibility, for us, is a measure of influence in a process. It is not a stamp on a forehead. The one who held the sharp edge faced the most weight, yet the ones who starved the ties for years also stood near the scale. We asked what repair can make a broken line. We asked how to guard the living lines that remain. The answer was not to throw a body away. The answer was to teach a new way of joining. We set a long plan of guarded service, shared guidance, and slow trust, and we marked each step in public. The person now does healing with those who once feared them, with watchers who keep gentle distance. You may doubt this. You have a right to doubt this. I doubt it too. Doubt is also a relation, and we do doubt with care. Our records show relation maps like weather maps. You can see storms and clearings. We read those maps each season to learn where to place more care. I know you love clear names, yet I ask you to try day without them. Try to speak in verbs for a morning, and see how your own life changes shape. When you drink, say that you do drinking with the cup and the hand. When you argue, say that you do clashing with a person while holding a thread. When you rest, say that you do resting with the bed and the night. You may notice that blame grows softer when you describe actions instead of boxes. You may also notice that duty grows sharper when you trace your hand in a pattern. Our children learn this way from the start. In schools we do learning with projects that link hands to hands. They do growing with gardens and kitchens and small bridges. They do conflict repair with staged trials where nobody is a villain, only a set of pushes and pulls to understand. They keep journals of becoming, not essays of identity. Each term they read their own changes and speak them aloud. It helps them see that a bad day is a bend, not a wall. Our city also runs by verbs. Streets are not owned, they are kept with. You join a keeping circle for a path and earn trust by the hours you smooth into the hazards you mark. Shops are not brands, they are groups who do make you with neighbours. When you want bread, you join the baking with a small roll and receive shares with your place in the mix. If you are in a rush, you trade for someone else's effort with a promise to help later. Promises here are recorded as strings that show weight and time. These strings are open to view. You can see who lifts and who rests. A person who lifts often is not a hero. They are a reliable rhythm. A person who rests long is not a shame. They might be healing with the quiet. Public respect moves like a tide, and we watch those tides with care. Our economy is a dance of capacity, not a pile of property. We keep resources by stewarding, not by owning. Stewarding means you do tending with a place while others see you do it. If you stop tending and no one else joins, the place asks us for help in the kind voice of neglect. The city hears that voice through many small sensors and many honest eyes. We vote with hours, not only with marks on paper. An hour carries weight when it shows up where the tide is thin. Some people give light hours, some give heavy hours. Both matter. We praise precise help, not grand speeches. This is not perfect. No system is. There are games and lies and short cuts here too. We answer by making motives visible. We show why a hand moves, not just that it moves. When motives cross, we slow down the crossing with gentle rails, like hands that guide a crowded door. You might ask how love works without names. Love here is steady joining, not a label on two people. Lovers do caring with meals, and forgiving with talk, and sheltering with time. They renew the tie by small repeated acts, not by rare large gestures. Some pairs fail and it hurts in a clear way. We treat the end as a changing rhythm, not a proof of worth. We teach children that love is a skill, and skills grow with practice. We teach that consent is a moving light. It must stay bright across time. We also teach that saying no is an art that protects the next yes. You asked once if art survives a world of verbs. Art thrives here because verbs let us play with time. A painter does seeing over many mornings and the colour tells the story of those mornings. A musician does listening with the room and the breath of those who gather. We archive their acts as tracks of relation, not as relics under glass. Young artists learn the line between true risk and reckless harm. We help them test stages with buffers made of friends. I keep a small studio in the old train house. There I record voices from the callers of the city. The voices come as brief notes like this one and as long nights too. The station smells of metal and tea and books left open. On a shelf we keep the ties of the city drawn as cords. Some cords are bright, some are thin, some are sore. We speak to the sore cords and ask how to ease them. A recent sore cord led us back to the harm I told you about. The harm began long before the cut, in years of slow neglect. We saw sharp jokes that passed for humour, we saw duty that slipped away, we saw fear that hid in silence. The cut was only the loud part. Our plan of repair grew from this reading. We've asked the hand that cut to do repair with those who were hurt. We asked the circles that starved the tide to do service with those who need them. We asked the city to change a few small rules that had looked neutral but fed the harm. Now the map looks calmer, yet it is not flat. No map of life is flat, not even in your world. When I lie down at night I think about how words steer the hand. A noun can freeze a person, a verb can free a person, both can also wound. We try to choose the word that keeps the door of change open. I know that your speech loves nouns, it gives clear tags and neat shelves. That order can help, I see that, and I honour it. Still I hope you might use more verbs in moments of heat. Verbs let blame breathe and invite repair. Verbs show the steps someone might take next. A friend here says that verbs are bridges. I like that. Bridges allow many feet without asking for a fixed badge. You and I have written for a long time now. Our letters move like a slow river between banks that almost touch. I have never used a name for you, and yet I feel close. Closeness does not need labels, it needs attention given over time. On my desk a small plant leans toward the light. It leans because I turn the pot a little each morning as I brew water. Care is like that, tiny and steady, hardly seen, always felt. My city lives on tiny and steady. We keep buses on time by people who like helping strangers make it home. We keep crossings safe by people who enjoy standing in rain with a bright coat. We keep songs alive by people who hum while sweeping halls. None of those people are a title. They are the act they repeat with joy. Now I want to tell you about a risk we are about to take. The council plans a trial called the Naming Week. For 7 days one noun will return to public speech and we will watch what changes. I do not know which noun the council will pick. Some want a word for home, some want a word for friend, some want a word for truth. I fear a noun can harden a soft tie. I also hope a noun can give rest to a tired pattern. We are ready to observe with care and to roll back if harm grows. If this feels strange, remember that we experiment in small safe ways. We borrow from gardeners who test soil in little beds before planting a field. We borrow from cooks who taste a spoon before serving a pot. We borrow from nurses who try a low dose before a full course. You might laugh at our caution, but caution is what lets us be bold next month. Courage for us is not a leap, it is a sequence of measured steps. I learned that as a young helper during the flood years. Back then the river rose and streets did joining with water. We built long ramps of planks and hands and songs. We learned to ask for help in clear short lines. We learned that no one becomes a hero alone. The river does rising with us all. After the waters left, we did counting with losses and counting with new ties. The new ties mattered more. They kept us warm through the bad winter. Since then I hold a small rule, always build a tie while patching a wall. This rule guides me as I write to you now. You and I build a tie by sharing clear stories and gentle doubts. Doubt keeps our letters honest, wonder keeps them alive. I wonder what your kitchen smells like when the first cup is ready. I wonder what road you take when you need to think. I wonder who holds your silence when words are heavy. In my city we keep rooms for thinking together. These rooms are quiet and bright and carry soft chairs. People enter when a problem is not a person and not a law, but a tangle here in the middle. We hang the tangle on a board and try a dozen gentle pulls. If a pull tears a tie, we stop and mend before pulling again. We end when the tangle becomes a braid that can hold weight. That is how we faced the harm I told you about. It took months and cost tears, and still it was worth the work. I share this to show that a world where nouns is not a dream without friction. It is a practice with tools and habits and rest. We rest often because change tires even the brave. We rest to keep our kindness from thinning. I think about you during rests and hope this letter lands on a kind day. If today is hard, take one verb and repeat it slowly. Try breathing with, not breathing at. Try seeing with, not seeing at. Try walking with, not walking at. These small swaps make space in the chest. They also soften faces and slow quick anger. Anger is not our enemy. It is a bell that asks for a careful knock. We answer anger with clarity and boundaries and tea. Yes, tea helps, even here. You see that our worlds share more than they differ. The gap is not across an ocean, it is across a habit. If you cross that habit even once, you may find a new street inside your old one. Then send me the line about what you saw. I collect those lines and read them to my circle. We learn from your tries and we cheer for them. A child near my home loves to hear your reports. They ask if you have sunbirds or rain bells or dust fruit. I tell them that your world has tools with strong names and roads with numbers. They nod and ask if the numbers sing. I say that sometimes the numbers sing when people dance with them. Perhaps you can make a number sing this week and tell me how it felt. Before I close, I want to return to love. A friend of mine lost a partner this year, and we did holding with them many nights. We learned that grief is a verb too. It moves. It rises and rests and changes weight with the hour. We never tell someone to be strong. We say let strength visit when it wants. We bring soup and shoes and stories, and we leave silence. The friend now does small laughter with us at supper. They say the tide did not end, it changed form. I believe them, and I believe you will understand. We also learned to ask better questions. We ask what would help today, not what would fix forever. We ask where the egg lives in the body, and we breathe with that place. You can try this with someone you love, ask small and present questions. Then listen without rushing for a solution. Listening is a verb too, and it is a medicine here. It costs little and heals much. I should stop soon, though my desk light could keep me. The plant has closed a little, and the kettle wants rest. I will leave you with a trial you can start at dawn. Pick 1 hour and remove every noun you can from your speech. Replace each with a clean verb and a gentle ink. See what new doors open in a room you thought you knew. Then write me back with what you felt and what changed. I will read your line and share it with my circle, and we will cheer for your hour. Thank you for being with me across this small and bright distance. I carry your attention like a warm scarf during cold walks. From a desk under a slow lamp, oh, I send care. From the world next to yours, your friend. Thank you for listening to the letter until the end. I am grateful for your time and for your calm attention. If the story moved you, please tap like so the next friend can find it, and please subscribe so we can keep writing across this narrow gap. I would love to read your thoughts in the comments, long or short, and I will try to answer with care. If you wish to support the channel, please use the QR code at the bottom right of the video or the link in the description to donate. Every bit helps the letters continue. You can also find links in the description to other works or a different series. They follow a very different path and I think you might enjoy the change. Until next time, take good care, stay close, and please come back for the next letter.